Our guest today is Dr. Ioana Popa, a national board certified life and leadership coach, physician, psychiatrist, and spiritual care provider with a master's in theology. As co-founder of Team for the Soul and host of the Thriving in Christ podcast, Dr. Ioana helps Christian professionals and ministry leaders prevent burnout and build sustainable habits for kingdom work. Her approach uniquely integrates science, psychology, and Christian faith through programs like the Renewal in Action and one-on-one coaching. When not serving others, she enjoys spending time with her husband and 4 children, gardening, and contemplative prayer. In part 1, Dr. Ioana Popa and I explored how ministry stress and burnout connect to financial struggles. Now, I want to continue our conversation where Dr. Popa asked about the financial mindsets I see, because her response leads us into practical solutions for the underlying issues, how to manage our time, energy, and emotional resources so we don't end up making poor financial decisions from a place of stress and exhaustion. Let's get into our interview.
So I'm curious, what are your thoughts, Joy? Because your podcast is about this, and I'm curious what kind of mindsets you are encountering.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the big ones that I feel like it kind of underlies things of that if you have money, that means that you're selfish, or if you have money, if you have wealth, that means you're hoarding, which is not the same thing.
No.
In the financial peace class, there's this great illustration about money being a tool, and Dave Ramsey talks about a brick and how you can use a brick to bash through a window. Don't do that.
Yes, please.
Right? You can use a brick to build a house. You can use a brick to build a hospital or a church, right? The brick doesn't care. The brick doesn't have a say. The brick is a
Exactly.
tool, right?
Yeah.
But if we have that mindset, or even if it's just kind of coloring things in the background, then, we'll feel like, oh, I can't save for retirement because that's taking away from XYZ, right? Or I can't do these
Right.
things, and we don't realize the impact of those things. To use retirement as an example, there are churches that are falling apart because their pastor can't retire but needs to
Mhm.
retire. And so they're not really
Yes.
able to do the job well anymore because of whatever physical or mental situation they have
Right.
going on as they age. But because they didn't set aside, and a lot of the denominations and organizations are doing a much better job now, I feel like, of educating people of, hey, you need to be setting aside for this. You need to be preparing for this. But if you have that mindset that's not quite right, it could get in the way of that. The other thing I was thinking about too is it's almost like this cyclical thing where, on the one hand, back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, some of those financial things are part of that foundational. If you can't fix the roof, you've got a problem, right?
Yes.
Like,
Exactly. Or the
exactly,
hot water.
right, exactly, you've got a problem. You need to take care of those things. If you're not able to take care of those things financially, it's going to be causing strain on other parts of your ministry. But
Exactly.
also, if you think about what I see as a financial coach all the time, is somebody's got some emotional need that they are soothing with money instead of taking care of it.
Oh,
And so
absolutely.
then they have a spending problem, or they have a drug problem, or they have a serial relationship problem, or whatever it is, because they're not taking care of some of those emotional needs. And maybe they don't have close friendships. And so, in order to just turn into eating, we're filling that need some other way. And a lot of times, the coaching world will talk about like your wallet and your calendar is kind of like a mirror, right? You can see your priorities, you can see where your heart is. Well, if your heart's in trouble, it's going to show up in your finances.
Right. Right.
Whether that shows up in overspending, or whether that shows up in something that you're spending on that's just not in line with your priorities, it's going to manifest there. And so it kind of creates this cycle of, maybe you had the finances, but they're not, maybe you have the income, but it's not healthy because it's being used to soothe something else.
Exactly. And I think you make a great point. Our relationship with money and our relationship with time is essential. That tells us about the values. And I think it's so important that you are doing this process of educating people around finances, because if we have a poor relationship with money, and then let's say someone is having a small or big addiction or using siphoning the money in
Mhm.
other ways, they might feel even worse and more.
Mhm.
They feel shame and they might want to hide this. I mean, that can bring relationship problems. I mean, it can bring so many issues. So
Uh-huh.
everything is gonna snowball. So it is important when we realize that it is something really precious,
Mhm.
that and it's a precious tool. And when we give it the right perspective, and we're not afraid of not having it or having too much, or
Mhm.
we're just respectful with it, it just becomes so much more um, helpful in the building for the kingdom. So,
Yeah. The Bible says where your treasure is, there your heart will be,
yeah,
which also means that if we look at where our treasure is, it can tell us about the condition of our heart.
that's right. And
Um,
taking care of the needs, especially emotional needs
Mhm.
and mind needs and the body,
Mhm.
are so important. I cannot stress, and I love that you brought that in. The When we don't take care of some needs, they're really gonna pop up like a beach ball. We keep it
Mhm.
underwater. For how
Like,
long can we do that? It's
whoosh.
gonna pop even more with
Mhm.
vengeance. And people tried, many
Mhm.
spiritual circles, they try repression. Oh, let me not think about the thoughts or not think about the emotions. It works for a while, like that beach ball or like a pressure cooker. And at some point, things explode and it's just an unnecessary pain. They can be prevented if we bring the foundation and we learn how to regenerate body, mind, heart, and soul. We learn how to stay aligned with our vision, our purpose. We have these beautiful relationship with money in a healthy way, with time, with our families. So whatever we do, we can keep doing for the glory of God.
Yeah. You've mentioned that body, mind, heart, and soul. So, how does that holistic approach apply specifically to pastors? What are some things that pastors might need to look into?
I think the biggest mistake that I've seen happening with pastors. I don't know if I told you I worked in a seminar as a counselor and also did, counseling with upcoming pastors. And the biggest mistakes I've seen is that, yes, we might accept the spiritual growth and taking care spiritually.
Mhm.
And that sometimes can get into rigid places, like I have to pray this specific order or this particular, get into a ritual, which is absolutely lovely to have the habit, but making it too fixed. And when actually life happens and all of a sudden is a busy season, people most of the time they drop things altogether as
Mm.
opposed to do for less. They almost feel like, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do
All or
it
nothing, right?
all or nothing. And then tomorrow never comes. And if this season continues, so the spiritual world, that's the biggest mistake that I've seen, which can be fixable. Like think about even a little bit is better. Number one,
Mhm.
even prayer doesn't have to be just with words. It can be just with a state of being. It can be maybe listening to music, worship, maybe listen to the Bible as you're driving or you do something else if you don't have time. But there are many creative ways to engage different psychological functions, not just the logical word by word, reading versus auditory, but you can also engage the more the presence of God. Augustine, I think he was in I don't remember which century, he said, pray all the time and only when needed, use words. I was like, great.
Mhm.
So that's on a spiritual level. I think that we can all become better by allowing us to be creative with however we're feeding ourselves spiritually. The second thing is with emotions. That's not very much talked about, but emotions are very important and usually they're a window into our needs. I mean, we all love positive emotions, peace and joy and happy and all that. But the unpleasant one, anger, worry, sadness, they don't travel alone.
Mhm.
So usually there's an underlying need. So even just pausing a few times a day and say, hey, what's my emotion right now? How is my heart doing? And then ask, well, what is that? Tell me about my needs. What is it? What's not fulfilled right now? Is it the need to belong? Is it a need to be seen, to be appreciated? Is it a basic need? What is it? And on a mind level, on a third level is we sometimes think of taking care of our mind by reading and engaging with stimulus, stimuli, engaging with content, which is awesome. But the mind also needs, that's more like a left brain, but the mind also needs to play and kind of move random. That's kind of like our right side of our brain. So we forget that, and it shows up, especially at the end of the day. So at the end of the day, we might be tired and we didn't have time to do what we wanted. And we're like, okay, I'm going to be more playful and let my random brain go. But what do? Movies, TV, social media, and those are addictive. And what happens, we get actually more information in. And the mind is going to spin even more, as opposed to just allowing some time for silence and allowing the mind to kind of reset and the thoughts to settle like sand. So that's an important piece. And the other one, in terms of the soul, as I think as everything is settling, the emotions, the thoughts, and the body, it's so much easier than to just spend time with God. And on a body level, I mean, most people know, right? Sleep, make sure you sleep. I don't know about you, Joy, but I was like, most people need 8 to 9 hours a night. I'm like, I don't want to sleep 8 to 9 hours. Can I just get away with only 6, please? But my body needs it, right? Eating healthy, avoiding as much as we can sugar and stuff like that. I mean, that could be another episode on health habits, but exercising, even 10 minutes every day, it's impactful.
So, as we've talked about a little bit, ministry a lot of times requires a huge sacrifice. But there can be there's a fine line between sacrificial giving, whether it's our time or our finances or however that looks, and then unhealthy, which is where we start to head towards burnout, right? So how can pastors and ministry leaders and even people in our churches, how can we set healthy boundaries around our resources, but also just around our schedules while we're still serving effectively?
I think in terms of resources is kind of in your zone, right? Make sure you include everything. It's so amazing with the budget. It's so much clearer as opposed to our mind kind of moving around. The same, I would say, with self-care is nice to do a actual write things down. And what was the other thing you asked besides the resources?
Yeah, I mean, your resources, your time. Yeah.
Yes. It's a very interesting process. Time, we don't think about it. We think it's unlimited because you might have heard of the idea of kingdom time, kairos time, which on an existential level, whatever we experience, it feels always in the now. Like tomorrow never happens, right? My vacations on traveling is going to come. It's not going to be tomorrow like a different experience. It's going to be another now moment. So it's a paradox that we live in this continuous now. And at the same time, the chronos time, the day-to-day timing, it's very finite. I mean, one time, I don't know about you, but I calculated, okay, God, you give me another 40 years, whatever that is. I multiply by 365. It's shocking. Like, oh, there are not that many days. And we have limited time during the day. We need to sleep. So think of the time as space. And whatever, and this is not something that I've created. I mean, there are many people that talk about this. Think about whatever you say yes to, you actually say no to something else. So think of as a room. Like if I'm going to bring 2 more couches in this already crowded room, where am I going to move around? I'm not. I have to take something out. And usually if we're all of a sudden realize that, we're going to think, well, what am I saying no to? So if I'm going to say yes to this project, which is so exciting and beautiful, it's 3 hours. Well, what 3 hours? Who's going to suffer from that? Is it my family? Is it my self-care? Like what trading I need to do? And the last thing I want to say about time, we forget about transition times. I do that. I was doing that often. I'm much better now. It's not really 3 hours. Let's say a presentation or whatever it is. You have to go there. You have to prepare. You have to come home. Then you're tired. It's so much more. So include also the transition time when you think about what am I giving away?
I love that image of the couches. It reminded me a number of years ago, my couch was too big for my apartment. And so I got a different one. I found a smaller one, and then it took me longer to get rid of the bigger one than I thought, because like nobody wants to move a couch. So finally I got somebody to help me deliver it so I could offer delivery with it. And then
Yes.
suddenly it disappeared. And I remember walking around my living room with two couches in there, which is even worse than with the big
Yes.
couch, and going like, you can't pack every minute of your day or of your week. You need time to move around. You need
Yes,
space.
exactly.
I can't pack every inch of this office with furniture. I need to have room to walk around in the office and do things.
Yes, yes, yes. And we need some time for our emotions or our
Hmm.
mind. We need time with God, spoken and unspoken. We need time to transition. We need
Hmm.
time for the crying baby and
Right.
for the teenager
And to get
10
stuck in
p.m.
traffic and
Yeah, stuck in traffic. Or maybe your teenager wants to talk with you and unload at 10 p.m. And, I've been prepared for moments like this and they want to
right,
talk for 2 hours. Like, what a blessing, right?
right.
But
You
at
want
the
to be able
same
to say
time,
thank you, Jesus, not
thank you.
can I please go
Exactly.
to bed now?
Yes, please. I'm not talking right now. Yeah.
Right.
So we need to kind of put these
Mhm.
moments as well in our
Yeah.
schedule. Yeah.
Yeah. And really, just like with the budget, it causes you to create a decision. When you do a
Yeah.
budget, it causes you to make a decision. So even about things like generosity, I know people who have their tithing or their regular giving, and then they also have some people have a spontaneous giving line in their budget so that they have something set aside when those opportunities come up, but that also means they have a boundary. And that if
Yes.
something comes up that's more than what's sitting in that bucket, then they need to sit and talk to their spouse about it. And that gives them the
Exactly.
freedom to say, we're going to take advantage of these opportunities. We're going to love people. We're going to serve people well. And also, we're not going to put our ability to pay the mortgage at risk, you know,
Exactly. Exactly.
or cause stress over here, or, delay getting out of debt over here if that's what somebody's working on because we've made a plan for it.
Yes. Yes.
And being intentional. And the same thing is true with our time. And time, I've heard it said that time is the only non-renewable resource.
Absolutely.
You can go make more money.
Yes.
And it's, as I like to say, when one of the mindset things we run into is the scarcity mindset. And it's not like who's got a slice of the pie. Like our God owns the bakery. He can make more pies, right?
Absolutely.
But
God is a
there's
God of
time is
abundance.
all you got.
Yes,
We all
that's
get the same
right.
amount.
That's right. Yeah,
So,
do this exercise if you're listening. Calculate the number of years you might, generously might think
mhm,
might live and multiply by 365. It's kind of staggering, like, oh, and it makes it so much more precious, so
mhm,
much more precious. And I also want to bring another mindset that we are entrusted with our family. So if there's any ministry leader that they might have a wife and children,
mhm,
we do the sacrifice voluntarily, but
mhm.
the children, they didn't ask for this. It just came in their lap. And it might be that they want to, but they're also young, so we can consider them part of our ministry, part of our giving. The same with the spouse. So just thinking of as a precious gift, and many times because they love you, they might not want to say no. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? But it does take extra care to think from their perspective and really making sure that their needs are met, because there's nothing more contagious and really inspiring and inviting people to look to God than a joyful Christian.
Yeah, yeah. And
So,
that ministry with your house, with your home, that's your first ministry. And
yes.
do you want to be the pastor that retires and all these great things happened, but your kids aren't serving Jesus?
Yeah.
Being a pastor's kid is still going to be tough, right?
Yes.
And it doesn't mean that it's not necessarily a bad thing for things to be tough, but can we manage that in such a way that it's healthy and that
Yes.
that makes them, I love seeing, I know some families where it was a ministry family and all the kids are involved in ministry in some way. Some of them it's their job, some of it's not their job, but they're still active in it. But it means that their experience was healthy enough to say, we're going to keep serving Jesus
Yes.
and we're
Amen.
going to keep serving God's people.
Amen.
You know,
Amen. Yeah.
this is what we want to see. But we've also seen, I think we've all seen the people who were ministry kids who want nothing to do with the church.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And
And
sometimes it's not because the pastors did something wrong.
mhm,
Sometimes things happen.
right.
I And we live in a culture that is so confusing for young people. I cannot even begin to imagine what is it like to have young people right now. So, it- nonetheless, I think the more we love, I'm always reminded that, yes, I might choose my vocation, I might choose who I'm ministering to, but my kids, they just are a gift from God. Like, it's undeniable a gift that
Yeah.
it is, like you said, the first ministry. So it really, it's great to hear that. And listen, we all make mistakes. If you're listening to this, you probably, like all of us, are thinking, oh my goodness, what am I doing to my kids? Well, I was doing that. It was my first year of psychiatry residency. I'm like, when my kids were young, and I went to one of my mentors. Oh my goodness, what am I doing to my kids? It's like, listen, it's impossible to be a perfect parent. Like, things are gonna happen, but just constantly grow, constantly try to become better. So we don't want to get also very stressed, like, oh my goodness, what am I doing to my kids? Happen, but everything is workable because we can always apologize. We can always be there, mend connections and relationships. And so,
Yeah. And just, I think, to look back and say, I'm doing my best,
yes, with the
not with
information
the
I have at the
information that I
time.
have. And if I learn new things, then I'll do my best with those things. You can't go
Yes,
back.
exactly.
You can't go back and beat yourself up for things that you didn't know before. You
Right,
can't go back
exactly.
and change past choices. And like you said, there are going to be situations where somebody does everything right and their kids still wander off. Right.
Exactly.
We hear that train up a child in the way he should go verse, but the reality is that's a proverb. It's not a promise.
Right, exactly.
It's a proverb. It's a saying about how God has designed the world to usually work. But that child
Right.
still has choices. And, you
Exactly.
know,
We're best to train them, but what
exactly.
they do with it, I mean, there's a reason why we have the prodigal son in the Bible, right? I mean,
Right.
even to God the Father, it happens. It's just natural.
If the
Not to
best parent
change.
has us all wandering off,
Yes,
then
exactly.
that we as humans are gonna have
Exactly.
our kids wander off too. So
Yeah.
yeah. So as we get ready to wrap up here, if there's a pastor or leader right now that's really feeling like they're on the edge of that burnout or they're struggling with that stress while they're trying to lead effectively, what are some recommended first steps that they could take towards healing?
The simple step is to start regenerating today. Not tomorrow, not over the weekend. We never know what might happen over the weekend. But today, put a time aside, and it could be as simple as 10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes. First of all, find out what's your minimal amount of dose that you can, the time dose that you cannot say no to. For me, it's 10 minutes. I cannot say no to 10 minutes of walking. I cannot say no for 10 minutes of a nap. And no matter how busy I am, I cannot say no to just 10 minutes of putting a timer and just wander and stay with God in silence. So find out what that minimum amount of time is for you. It could be 5 or 10 minutes, and do it 3 to 4 times. I would argue 4 times a day. Like in the morning when you wake up, many of us are very accustomed to do things in the morning, but also in the middle of the day, stay in flow, pause for a few minutes, cup of tea, a cup of coffee, or I don't know, just put your feet up, or if you can, just put a timer, but do something that feels regenerating. Listen to a song, take a walk. And then at the end of the work day, if there's such a delineation, sometimes people work in the evening, but it could be anywhere like 5 or 6 p.m. and then at night. And get into the rhythm. What's most important about regenerating, and this is where I flashed out in the renewal blueprint in my program, Renewal in Action, to have this 4 times a day, morning, midday, afternoon, and night. It allows for this break every 3 to 4 hours, and it allows for us to come back to ourselves and just say, okay, what do I need right now? And it could be, as I said, a walk, could be just reading or doing sweet nothing for 5, 10 minutes. And when we get into that rhythm every day, in times it's going to become easier and we don't feel like we're neglecting ourselves. I like to call them mini vacations. Don't wait for vacation. Have mini vacations today. Enjoy that. And I think it's a simple step and a simple rhythm to start. And it doesn't matter the content. I would say the rhythm is more important throughout the day. put a timer, enjoy it, and it'll be easier than to build on it.
Mhm. I love that. I love that. So, for listeners who want to learn more about the work that you're doing or the resources that you have available, can you tell us a bit about what you have available and where we can find you online?
Wonderful. Yes. Teamforthesoul.com. That's my website. I developed Team for the Soul. We're co-founders with my husband. He works full time, but does some of the grief work. And I'm on Facebook, on Instagram, teamforthesoul.com. I'm not a really super social media person, but I do post there once a week. I'm on LinkedIn as well, Dr. Ioana Popa. I'm trying to think what else. And the email is easy to remember, connect, teamforthesoul.com. If you want to have the programs I have, I love to, because I'm an educator at heart, I develop programs that can be done in the comfort of their home.
Mhm.
So Renewal in Action, it's a 6 weeks, like a boot camp, a map to develop that renewal map, body, mind, heart, and soul 4 times a day, walking through exercises, there's videos, there's handouts, there's contemplative practices, how to stay in silence. Then I have a longer curriculum, Growing in Christ, which I would love to, I've used that for an institution or a nonprofit, how to develop different skills in terms of the rhythm and habits and regeneration over 2 years. So it's a monthly curriculum. And then I have groups and I do executive coaching and life and leadership coaching. So
Wonderful. Wonderful. And thank you so much for all that you're doing to encourage leaders in a lot of different spaces and for taking the time to have this conversation with us. I knew when you and I met, like this was going to be a fun talk where we're kindred spirits, as in the Green
yes,
Gables
yes.
would say.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
so appreciate what you are doing. Thank you for your ministry. It's such an important topic. It's so needed. So thank you. And thank you for having me.